Welcome to this Executive Explainer. Today we're diving straight into a massive, completely untapped commercial synergy between Latin America's powerhouse and South Asia's rising star. If you're an investor, a manufacturer, or an entrepreneur looking to diversify your supply chain, this strategic blueprint connecting Brazil and Bangladesh is absolutely crucial to understand. Let's get into it.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll quickly cover the tale of these complementary economies, identify the top joint venture sectors, break down the key government investment incentives, look at how the BBCI-CI facilitates trade, and finish up with a solid due diligence checklist.
All right, Section 1, a tale of complementary economies, connecting South America and South Asia. Now look at this number, 380 million plus. When you bridge Brazil and Bangladesh, you are literally unlocking direct access to over 380 million consumers. To put that into perspective, guys, that is bigger than the entire population of the US and Canada put together. Brazil brings a massive domestic market of over 210 million, while Bangladesh brings another 170 million to the table. And we aren't just talking sheer headcount here. Both of these nations have a rapidly expanding, increasingly urbanized middle class with rising purchasing power. For an investor, that means escalating demand across the board.
It's honestly like a giant jigsaw puzzle where the pieces fit perfectly. On one hand, you've got Brazil, an absolute global leader in agriculture, agribusiness, mining, and energy. And on the flip side, you have Bangladesh, one of Asia's fastest-growing economies, a total powerhouse in ready-made garments, and a wildly competitive manufacturing hub. They basically have exactly what the other needs.
So the really interesting part is that this trade flow is already incredibly active. Brazil is actively feeding Bangladesh's food security and industrial sectors with soybeans, sugar, corn, cotton, and iron. Meanwhile, Bangladesh is shipping back highly competitive manufactured goods like ready-made garments, pharmaceuticals, and footwear straight to Brazilian consumers. Now, sure, the current trade balance leans heavily toward Brazil because of the sheer volume of those raw commodities. But that just means there is immense room for Bangladesh to diversify its exports into Brazil's massive domestic market, rather than just relying on saturated markets like the US and Europe.
Moving on to Section 2, top joint venture sectors, where to invest.
So, where should you actually park your capital? Well, here are the absolute hot zones for joint ventures. We're talking textile and garment manufacturing, agriculture and halal food processing, pharmaceutical APIs and generics, leather goods and footwear, renewable energy, think biofuels and solar, and of course tech, IT, and BPO services. Imagine the synergies here. What happens when you combine Brazil's deep expertise in biofuels with Bangladesh's emerging green sector? It's a total game changer. Or take pharmaceuticals. Bangladesh's robust pharma industry could easily establish joint ventures in Brazil to serve its massive healthcare market. Now, you might be wondering, why a joint venture specifically? Well, by forming strategic alliances in these areas, you're significantly reducing your entry risk while instantly tapping into localized market intelligence. Navigating a foreign market thousands of miles away? Yeah, it's tough. But a local partner in Dhaka or São Paulo already knows the regulatory maze, the distribution channels, what the consumers actually want. You essentially bypass years of expensive trial and error and hit the ground running.
Okay, Section 3, key government investment incentives, de-risking the opportunity.
Capital flows where it's treated best, right? And Bangladesh is practically rolling out the red carpet for foreign investors right now. Look at this list of incentives. Comprehensive tax holidays, duty exemptions on imports, guaranteed profit repatriation facilities, lucrative export incentives, and the ability to retain 100% foreign ownership in a bunch of different sectors. They are actively lowering the financial friction of international expansion, making it highly profitable to bring your business to their shores.
So, what does this actually look like in reality? Well, it looks like special economic zones, or SEZs. Setting up your operations in one of these government-supported zones is easily one of the smartest ways to maximize your ROI. They are quite literally plug-and-play environments designed to completely bypass local infrastructure bottlenecks. If you're a Brazilian agro-processing firm setting up in an SEZ, you get immediate access to reliable power, super streamlined customs, and a hyper-competitive, export-driven ecosystem.
Let's move to Section 4, BBCI facilitating your trade.
Entering a market that is physically on the other side of the world can feel pretty daunting. But the great news is you don't have to do it alone. The Brazil-Bangladesh Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the BBCII, serves as this vital link, fostering bilateral trade and investment. They act as your institutional anchor. They are basically the premier bilateral chamber dedicated entirely to eliminating friction for both importers and exporters in this specific corridor.
And they aren't just some passive networking group. They are an operational partner. We're talking targeted business matchmaking, organizing highly specific trade delegations, proactive advocacy with local policymakers, and sharing vital market intel, plus capacity building and workshops. Whether it's hosting the Made in Bangladesh Expo in São Paulo or setting up direct face-to-face meetings, they give you the on-the-ground intelligence you need before you commit a single dollar.
Finally, Section 5, the due diligence checklist, your action plan.
Let's translate all of this into an actual foolproof entry plan. Step 1, verify your business partners thoroughly, and definitely use the BBCI to help vet them. Step 2, understand the import regulations and tariffs, because let's be real, Brazil's tax system can be pretty complex for newcomers. Step 3, ensure strict product compliance and certification, which is an absolute must for things like pharma or halal food. And Step 4, use professional trade services. Bring in those experienced local freight forwarders and legal advisors to drastically slash your operational risk.
Look, we've got to acknowledge the elephant in the room. There's about 15,000 kilometers and a pretty big language barrier between these two nations. Portuguese in São Paulo, English is the business standard in Dhaka. But when you rely on professional trade services and strong local distributors, those massive hurdles shrink down to manageable, everyday operational steps. It all comes down to effective communication and having the right representation on the ground to translate the local business culture.
I'm going to leave you with this question to really think about. Are you over-relying on saturated traditional markets while a 380 million consumer bridge between Brazil and Bangladesh goes completely untapped? As global trade shifts, getting in early on this South-South cooperation could completely redefine your company's global future. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and here's to successfully bridging your business between Brazil and Bangladesh.